My name is Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm the Director of Career Innovation at Nexford University. I am really thrilled to be here today with Raymond Victorino, one of the mentors as part of the Global Grid Initiative. We launched this last week, and we are just excited as part of Nexford's anniversary celebration. It's a mentorship program to enable talent around the world to prepare for remote jobs. This program aims to increase awareness around the millions of jobs that are moving online and the skills you need to qualify for these jobs. We have mentors from all over the world, from the United States, Nigeria, the Philippines, and we'll continue to grow this program. Thank you for being here as part of our first webinar with Raymond. I'm going to turn it over to him, and we're going to hear some really great insights about preparing for that next promotion. So Raymond, take it away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that introduction. And I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you're in. I hope that you and your family are healthy and safe in this difficult time. So my name is Raymond Victorino, and I'm really blessed to be here to be part of one of the mentors of the Global Grid program of Nexford University. All right. So I know it's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. I know you're all excited to actually spend the weekend with your loved ones, but hang in there for one more hour. Please stay with us and, let's learn together in this webinar. All right. So I will be sharing my screen right now. Hold on. All right. So I hope you're seeing my screen. Yes. Can you give me a thumbs up? All right. Great. So the title of our webinar today is Positioning Yourself for the Next Job Promotion. So for this webinar, I will be sharing with you a perspective from an HR insider. But wait, there's more. I'll also be sharing with you my own experience as an employee who was once, wanting to be promoted, just like you. All right. But before that, let me just briefly introduce myself. So Jennifer already mentioned that I'm one of the mentors of the Global Grid. And then I'm also grateful to be included in the top 100 Filipinos to follow on LinkedIn last year. In terms of my experience in HR, I've been in the industry for quite a while. I hope you're not pulling out your calculator and computing for my age. I'm already 39 and I'm proud to be 39 years old. I also obtained my master's degree in HR from University of the Philippines. And then other than being an HR practitioner, I'm also a career strategy coach and mentor, writer, a speaker, and a brand influencer. I also advocate for a lot of things, especially those things that we need amidst the pandemic. And just to highlight some, that would be career development, kindness, and lifelong learning. And outside work, I'm a family man, I'm a husband, and I am a father of a 3-month-old baby and a 6-year-old daughter. I am a student of learning. I always consider myself that. I'm a basketball enthusiast, and of course, more importantly, a Christ follower. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so before anything else, I just wanted to align everybody in terms of definition of what a job promotion is. So a simple definition is a job promotion is when an employer moves an employee up in the hierarchical levels within an organization. Usually it comes with higher position, of course, higher authority, higher responsibility, and higher pay. Okay, an example would be if you are an assistant manager right now and you are promoted to a full-fledged manager, a people manager, then that is a form of promotion. However, there is another form of promotion that does not necessarily require you to actually change your job description. And we commonly call it an upgrade. An example would be if you are an assistant manager level 1 right now, and you are being promoted to an assistant manager level 2, then it's also a kind of promotion. However, it doesn't entail you changing your whole job description, but it may come with, for example, additional responsibility, like involvement in a major project, or possibly well, possibly additional decision-making authority, and of course, with higher pay. And I think that's our favorite, right? Okay. Now, I'd like to differentiate as well career growth versus a job promotion. So, job promotion, no, all kinds of job promotion can be considered as career growth, but career growth is actually broader in scope. So, why do I say that? Because you don't necessarily have to move up the ladder to achieve career growth. Sometimes you can actually move laterally or horizontally. For example, if you are a sales manager right now and eventually you wanted to become a sales and marketing manager, and your company would assign you, would cross post you to being a marketing manager of another department, then that you can consider career growth through a lateral or horizontal move. All right. I hope that is clear with you guys. Okay. So our focus for this webinar is actually just the vertical growth, which is specifically job promotion. And I know that we only have three types of attendees for today. Number one, it's either you are my friend and you just wanted to support me. Thank you very much for being here. Or maybe you're just curious as to what I'm going to talk about today, right? Thank you as well. And the third type of person attending this webinar is someone who really wants to get promoted. Is that you? All right. I have a question for you. So can you please type in the chat box, who among you wants to get a job promotion this year? Let's be honest, please. Okay, type in the chat box, me, if you want to get a job promotion this year. All right. Do I see a me? All right. Thank you so much for responding. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's move on. I have another question, somewhat similar to what I just asked you. Another question is, who has concrete plans of getting a promotion this year? Please type me if you have concrete plans of getting a promotion this year. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for responding. All right. So you will notice that the question seems to be the same, right? But they are totally different. Why? Because wanting to get promoted without any concrete plan is actually just wishful thinking. But if you want to get a promotion, you have a plan in place, then that's when you generate success. That's when you guarantee progress that can be monitored and measured if executed properly. So you have to know the difference. Okay? All right. So let's move on. Okay. So following the tips that I will share will guarantee you a job promotion. Let me repeat that. Following the tips that I will share will guarantee you a job promotion. Wrong. Okay, I cannot guarantee you a job promotion because otherwise, if it doesn't materialize after this webinar, then you're gonna sue me. I don't want to be sued. Okay, so instead, no, of course, our ultimate goal is for you to get the job promotion, especially if you have an aspiration. However, there's a big red bot over here. Okay, a more realistic objective is actually to position you for the next job promotion or career opportunity. So, what does positioning you actually mean? Positioning you means that I will be helping you to be in the best place that you can be, or to have that competitive advantage, to have an edge, to get you ready, or to set you up for success for you to get that job promotion. Okay? But there's no guarantee. And later on, you'll find out why. Okay? All right. So I also mentioned here that um, another objective is to position you for the next career opportunity. So you might be asking, what is this all about? So let's see. Okay, because if you're ready for the next job promotion, you can equate that to being ready for the next career opportunity. Why? Because whatever preparation you do for a possible job promotion in your current company is transferable to your next possible career opportunity in another, should you decide to move to another company. Okay? So nothing is wasted. It's a matter of actually hitting two birds in one stone. Don't you like it? Okay. All right. So, um, speaking of no guarantee, for job promotion, this is the reason why. So what you're seeing right now is actually the circle of concern. The green circle represents the area that you can control. The yellow circle represents the area of your career or life that you can influence. The bigger red circle represents the area that you have no control or no influence. Okay? Now, for this session, we will be focusing only on the areas that you have control or influence. Because otherwise, if we try to control and influence those that we cannot, no, it's beyond our control and influence, then we're just going to be wasting so much time, energy, resources, and effort. Okay? So our focus again will be the area that we have control and influence. All right? Okay, but first things first. No? I'd like to know what do you think about this question? Who do you think is primarily responsible for your career development or advancement? Okay, let me ask that question again. Who do you think is primarily responsible for your career development or advancement? Is it your boss, company, or somebody else? So just type it in the chat box who you think is primarily responsible. Okay, so let's reveal what the answer to this question is. Okay, so the answer to this question is actually you, the employee. You are primarily responsible for your own development. If you've read about Jack Canfield's success principles, the first principle there is take full responsibility for your own life, and that is also true for your career. However, there are also other parties involved in the process. For example, your immediate manager or your higher level leaders. So what they do is that they provide you with the opportunities, they give you the feedback, they serve as your soundboard, and they advocate for you in talent reviews, for example. And then another party is your HR. Your HR has been there at your disposal, but you're not really maximizing them. So your HR is the representative of the company. So what do? They provide you with the structure, the systems, and the processes in order for that job promotion to happen. But other things beyond that, outside this pyramid, are actually beyond your control or influence. So what are those? Financial performance. Is your company performing well financially? How about the timing? Is it the right time for the company to promote? Office politics. While you can influence to some extent, still this can, go out of hand and you don't really have control over this. Is the promotion for this year budgeted? And is there a business requirement or business need? So those are the factors that we cannot control. Okay? All right. I hope it's clear with you that you are responsible for your own development. Now, there are actually two kinds of employees waiting for a job promotion. Of course, you cannot force the issue and tell your boss, I want to be promoted now, as in now. Okay? You cannot demand that, or else you'll get fired. Don't do that. Okay? So there's what we call passive waiters. So who are the passive waiters? Passive waiters are those who passively wait for his promotion and not taking active steps to achieve it. Let me tell you, it's not gonna happen unless you're really lucky. Okay? On the other hand, there are your active waiters. So what they do is that they deliberately and strategically take action to get the job promotion. Now, here's another question for you again. Who are you between these two people? Are you a passive waiter or an active waiter? I'd like you to be honest with me right now. Can you type passive if you think that as I speak, you are a passive waiter? And can you type active in the chat box if at this time you feel that you're actively working on your goals? Okay. All right. Okay. So don't worry because Our objective is actually to turn you into activators. So the tips that I will be sharing with you will all boil down to this. Okay? All right. Now, oftentimes, people would think that seniority or their job performance alone can actually get them the job promotion. Well, if you will notice, I stated here oftentimes, because sometimes it's true, especially for those companies whose promotion process is not yet that mature. But for most companies, now especially multinationals and established ones, seniority and job performance alone cannot get you that job promotion. But what it can do is actually, for example, serve as a tiebreaker. Assuming you have a competition and you're more senior than that person, and assuming all things are equal, then you can be a priority for job promotion. And then job performance, it's very important. I don't want to underestimate its importance because if you lose that performance, that level of performance, then you may also lose that eligibility to be promoted. So you have to maintain a certain level of performance still. Okay. But then again, the question is, what is it? What else do companies really look for aside from this? All right. So perhaps you've been hearing about this word, in the workplace, potential, right? People asking or leaders asking each other, does Raymond really have the potential to be a leader or to take the next level? You know? So what does it really mean? So let's try to demystify what potential really means by sharing with you one of the frameworks that is widely and commonly being used by most companies. In fact, in my own companies before, we've used this. It's not new anymore, but it's still being utilized nowadays. So this is what you call the Hypo model. Hypo stands for high potential model or framework. So there are three dimensions here. One is ability, and then aspiration, and then engagement. So what does this tell us? A significant amount of those three actually make a high potential talent. And potential, by the way, may be classified into three, okay? Three levels: high, medium or moderate, or low, okay? Now, the overlap that you're seeing, the area that the red arrow is pointing at is actually the sweet spot. And that is what defines a high potential talent, right? Okay, let's move on. Let's try to define each of this dimension one by one. Let's begin with ability. So what is ability? All right, so ability is simply your job competencies. This is composed of your skills, your knowledge, attitude, and values all rolled into one. And this is measured based on your demonstration on actual work situations. Okay? Now, how is this different from performance? Okay, performance is actually the outcome or the end result. It's like answering the question, what did you achieve? So that pertains to your performance. Ability, on the other hand, is the means, the question of how did you achieve it? Okay, so you use your ability to achieve a certain level of performance. All right. So you prove your ability not just by the results, but by the actual actions that you took in the accomplishment of the task. All right. This is also one way of companies to actually spot free riders. So who are the free riders? These are the people who enjoy, being recognized for the same level of performance as that of the performers, but they really didn't have any significant contribution at all. So companies are able to spot that by determining the ability. Now, my question is, do you think a company will hire somebody who has or who lacks the ability to do the job? Do you think they will promote somebody, who whose ability is inadequate to perform the next level? So probably the answer is no. So this is very important. Okay, so let's move on. Aspiration. What is aspiration? Aspiration is the extent to which an employee wants or needs the following in exchange for their efforts at work. Employment is simply a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic meaning it's a give and take relationship between the employee and the employer. All right. Now, what are these things that they look for, in terms of identifying whether or not the person has aspiration? One is positive experiences, one for recognition, financial rewards, and potential for advancement that can be realized. Okay? But commonly, this can simply be equated to, do you have the aspiration to be promoted to the next level? So that's the easiest way actually to figure it out. All right. Now, if I may share with you, I've encountered managers before who wanted their people to be promoted, but it's their people that do not want to be promoted. So if that happens, if that's the situation, it doesn't work. Okay, you have to have the aspiration. Now, do we take it against people who doesn't have an aspiration? Of course not. Because sometimes the absence or lack of aspiration may be rooted from the personal or family circumstances of the person. For example, a mom just gave birth and doesn't want to be to let's say to accommodate more stress at work by taking on the next level. So for now, she doesn't have an aspiration to be promoted. So it may change. It depends on the circumstances of the person. So this is the reason why you are a leader, if you are a manager, you have to regularly check the aspiration of your people. Because for today, they might not have it, but after maybe a couple of months, they realize it and they now have that aspiration. All right. And now let's go to the last. This is engagement. So engagement has four types. Okay. One is emotional commitment. So what is emotional commitment? This is the extent to which employees value, enjoy, and believe in the organization they work for. Now, my question is, you as an employee, do you attend company sponsored activities? Do you speak well of your company or do you always complain? Instead of, being part of the solution, you're being part of the problem. Okay? So I leave that question up to you. Next is rational commitment. This is the extent to which an employee believes that staying in their organization is in their best interest. Okay, so my question is there a mutually rewarding relationship right now between you and your company? And do you want it to continue? So if the answer is yes, then you have rational commitment. Third is discretionary commitment. So this is the extent to which an employee is willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. So are you the type of employee who's only concerned about what you can get more than what you can give? Are you willing to do tasks outside your job description? If the answer is yes, then you have discretionary commitment. Okay. And then lastly, long-term commitment. So this is the extent to which the employee wants to stay with their employer for the long term. So this is simply your intent to stay. Now, if you will notice, rational commitment and long-term commitment are actually related to each other. Okay, so that is engagement. Okay, I hope you're still okay. Can you type yes if you're still with me, if you're still doing great, if you're able to follow. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so the question now is, I've introduced to you the concept of potential, and then of course we know about performance. So how does potential now complement performance? How do we marry these two together? Okay, so pardon me if I will have to use another HR framework. Once again, I'll try to explain it to you the simplest way that I can. All right, so this is what you call the 9-box grid. Okay, again, this is not new. This is not a new concept. This has been around for more than a decade, but still this is being used. I would attest to that. My previous companies have actually used this. And what is a 9 box grid, by the way? So the 9 box grid is most commonly used in succession planning as a method of evaluating an organization's current talent and identifying, take note, potential leaders. All right. So on the y-axis, you will see here potential, no? And there is a differentiation. No? Either the person is low, moderate, or high potential. And then on the x-axis, you can see there the performance level. Is the person a low performer, moderate performer, or high performer? Now, the green boxes actually represent the promotable employees. You want to be there. You want to be part of those boxes. Particularly high potential and high performing employees, you are considered as a star talent. If you are a high potential and moderate performing employee, you are a high potential talent. So these two actually are usually the source of promotables or promotees for the next cycle of promotion. Okay, so that's how you marry the two. Now, okay, how do you now communicate your potential to the organization? Okay, so that's the question that we'd like to answer. Because if we talk about performance, it's easier to determine, right? Because you just clarify expectations and goals and your job objectives, and then you deliver those results, and then that's it. That's your performance, right? But potential is a bit different. Okay, so let's see how we can communicate this. Okay, so we can communicate this by working on these four critical areas. So these areas are critical for your job promotion. Okay, let's start with perception. What is perception? Perception is how others see you. All right, it's not really about how you see yourself, because perception is, you know, um, it's other people seeing you in a package, and not really using yourself, because those can be different. Okay, I understand, that sometimes perception is something that we don't really, we're not really into it, because we value more, for example, our integrity, but our reputation or perception is something that should be um, less important, right? However, we have to admit that in the corporate world, perception is everything. Okay. Now, next is visibility. Now, what is visibility? This is how you show yourself to others. So, are you the type of person or employee who operates in a camouflage? Don't want to be seen, just want to work silently. No, I was like that before. Just wanted to just do my job, leave the office at 5 or 6 o'clock, and then that's it. But then when I started to dream, and aspire to being promoted, then I should make myself visible. You have to get noticed by the right people for the right reasons. Okay. Again, I'd like to emphasize that for the right reasons. Okay. And then influence. What is influence? This is how you pull others toward an idea. All right. And of course, if you are aspiring to become a leader, influence is very important. You have to display and demonstrate this as you perform your responsibilities. And then lastly is impact. So impact is how you affect others through your results. These are the actual results. Okay. All right. So how do they go together? So this is your potential, and these are your four critical areas for job promotion. So your ability, engagement, and aspiration must all be manifested in these four areas. Okay. So the tips that I will be sharing with you will actually revolve around this. All right. Okay. So I hope you don't feel fatigued of me showing to you a lot of framework, etc. HR practitioners are really like that, and I hope I was able to explain it to you in a very simple way. Okay, so let's now go to the 9 eyes of job promotion. So these are the tips that I will be sharing with you. So I created this framework, if you may call it so, in order to simplify the tips that I'm gonna share. So let's go over each, one by one. So that's one is introspect, initiate, intentional, improve, involve, image, implement, influence, and impact. All right. So you'll notice that all of this nine or 10, yeah, nine eyes actually start with the letter I. I really did that intentionally because I wanted to remind you again, going back to what we've discussed earlier, who's primarily responsible for your career development or advancement? I, you, all right, you as an employee. Okay, so let's start with introspect. So introspect is really the first step, and it is just about self-reflecting on the questions that matter. Okay, so of course, if there's a very important, you know, um, thing to talk about, number one would be your core values. You have to establish your core values. Okay, so my question now is, are your core values aligned with the company's core values? All right. So why is values important? Because values actually speak volumes about you and your character. It is what you use in making difficult decisions, especially when there are no standard operating procedures or there is no manual available. You use your values to make decisions. Now, if your values are misaligned, it can cause stress and tensions along the way. Maybe you value integrity and your company is making you compromise that value, then it can be stressful for you. And as a result, it will lead to your unhappiness. And of course, unhappiness leads to what? Resignation, right? So ask yourself, are you in the right company? Is it the company that you really want to stay based on your core values alignment? Know your worth. No? What value can you bring or have been bringing to the organization? Well, first of all, you were hired because of the value that you can bring. If you haven't been living up to your true potential, it's time to get your hands dirty, go back to work in order to realize that value. So for all you know, you're just not aware of the value that you've been bringing, but you've been doing that. So I think it's really the best time for you to think about what is my value here? Am I really adding value to the organization? Okay. And then you have to be self-aware. What are your strengths and development opportunities? Self-awareness, or if we may call it self-mastery, is probably one of the most underrated trait or skill that makes up a great leader. You just cannot, leverage your strength or close development gaps if you are not aware of them, right? Okay. All right. So another item here is define your career goals. According to Lewis Carroll, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. All right. So you define your career goals. Question: can you realize these goals within the company? Is it achievable if you stay in the company? How committed are you with these goals? And why would you like to be promoted in the first place? So you have to answer these questions. Okay. And by the way, do you already have a goal? I think that's the most basic question to ask, right? So my advice to you is that have smart goals, write them down, you create a visual and look at it every day. You can say it every day, that's better. Because all your efforts and energy should be directed toward the achievement of that goal. Okay? Next, be comfortable with your aspirations. Are you comfortable and confident about your career aspirations? Are you confident talking about them? All right. Some Filipinos are not comfortable talking about their aspirations under the guise of humility, which is really false humility. So this is the reason why knowing your worth is very important because it gives you a boost of confidence that you need to actually talk about your aspirations. Okay? And don't worry if you talk to your boss about your aspirations, you're not the first person who did that. Okay? All right. And then last for introspect is evaluate where you stand. Okay? Are you eligible for promotion? So these are basic information that you need to know. Okay? Where do you stand? So, for example, if you are still on probation, so maybe you're not yet eligible. You have to wait for you to be regularized in the company, or perhaps earn a tenure of 1 year. So again, tenure in the role also matters. How long have you been in your role? Does it make you eligible already for a job promotion? So I'm not saying that you work on it, after you or upon the time that you become eligible. So the best time to work on your job promotion is actually now. Okay, don't wait for it. Don't wait for your eligibility first before working on your aspirations. Okay, so that's introspect. All right. Now next is initiate. So what is initiate? Number one is you have to express your aspiration. Okay, this is one of the first and very important step outside your self reflection. Okay, for example, somebody approaches me, Raymond, I want to be promoted. And then I'd ask that person, have you told your manager about your plans? And then the person will answer, no, I assume he already knows. Okay, guys, your managers are not mind readers. Okay? They're just so busy thinking about themselves that they don't have time anymore to think about you. Okay, unfortunately, in the corporate world, actions don't speak louder than words. They speak equal volume. So you have to express your aspiration. Another reason for doing that is, of course, you wanted to seek the support of your leaders. Can you imagine if they don't know about your plans? How do you think they can support? Do you think you can, work on your promotion alone? I don't think so. No, you need your higher level leaders, your managers to support you by advocating for you, by coaching you, providing inputs about your accomplishment, which sometimes you wouldn't otherwise notice. All right. Besides, these people, they sit in talent reviews and they cannot talk about what they don't know. If they don't know about your aspiration, let alone your accomplishments or any details about you, then they cannot talk about you. All right, you'll be set aside and maybe deferred to the next cycle. All right, and then of course, initiate conversations with potential allies. All right, so who are the people that you think you should talk to who can help you champion your cause? All right, so you have, well, this is short of saying that you try to build good relationships also with your colleagues, whether it's a manager from another department or maybe an executive, whoever. All right. But just a word of caution: you have to be prudent. All right, because not everyone is happy with your plans of getting promoted. That's the reality. Okay, but you have to build allies somewhere. Okay, so we now go to intentional. Okay, so first is co-create a career development plan with your boss. Okay, ask your boss because, for example, you just expressed your aspiration. So you ask your boss now. So, boss, what will it take for me to be promoted? All right. Can we work on my career development plan? Okay. Now, lucky are those. For example, I've interviewed some applicants before who told me that the moment that they joined their company, the company already had or prepared a career development plan for them in place. So they would already know, for example, if they accomplish all of these things in 5 years, they will become a manager. And after that, 3 years after, they can become a senior manager. But most companies don't have that, and that's the reality, right? So you have to be assertive. You have to be proactive in asking your boss to co-create a career development plan for you. Sometimes your boss would tell you, can you just start with it and then let's discuss after? That's fine. And sometimes if your boss is really hands-on, if he or she really devotes time for you, then He will volunteer to create a draft, and then you discuss it between the two of you. All right. And then once you agree, then those are the things that you need to accomplish for you to be able to be a promotable employee. All right. Now, another thing is you have to find out the required competencies. Find out the competencies that your company is looking for and look for ways to demonstrate them. So for companies with already mature promotion process, job competencies are clearly laid down with its definition. So that's good news for you because you know what are the competencies that you are strong at, what are those that you need to develop, and how you can actually display them based on the definition. Now, if your company doesn't have it yet, don't frown. No, just ask. Ask your boss or ask your second level boss. What is it that you're looking for the next level? What will it take? What will it take for me to get it? All right. So again, you have to be confident about your aspiration. So, my suggestion is really to involve also your second level boss, not just your immediate manager, because there are information that your second level boss knows that your immediate manager actually doesn't. All right. So as much as possible, as many people that you can involve with your aspiration, especially those who have decision making responsibilities on the promotion process, by all means do it. And then of course your HR is there at your own disposal. So please seek guidance and advice from your HR. If you have an HR business partner, better because that is the dedicated HR person who can attend to you. All right. Okay, next is improve. So improve, of course, when we say improve, you have to bridge those competency gaps. All right, you work on your development areas, your knowledge, your skills, and competencies. So, question is, do you need to attend the training, or maybe perhaps you need to take an MBA in Nexford, or it could be, a certification or specialized course in Nexford. So I don't know, no. That's something that you need to talk to your boss. All right, and that is the reason why you need to seek their support so that they can, enlist you to a specific training that you need. But no, but it doesn't stop in the training program, no, because according to the 70-20-10 model, you learn better from actual job experience. So that is the 70. So most of your learnings, 70% of the time, it is retained if it comes from the actual job experience. So if you've attended the training, make sure that you're able to apply it back on the job because otherwise you'll forget it. Believe me. All right. And it has to be strategic and intentional. What specific training do you really need? Okay. And then, of course, regularly seek for feedback. So ask for feedback from the right people, such as your manager, your second level manager, and of course, your trusted colleagues. So I know that we dread giving feedback, more so receiving it, especially if it's an area for improvement. Now, the thing is, you will only see what you want to see if you don't want to ask for feedback. Okay? If you seek timely feedback, for example, you're working on a project, if you seek timely feedback, then you get to calibrate your moves timely and you get timely support before things blow out of proportion. Because the least that you would like to happen is actually for your project to fail with you as the leader. Okay? So seek feedback. It is a gift. All right? Let's go to involve. Okay, this is very simple. Actively participate in company-sponsored programs such as employee engagement activities or CSR programs or maybe your town halls, etc. Now, if you can be part of a committee, the better. All right. Now, the problem is that some people would have this attitude. All right. Some people would think, what's in it for me? Or do I really need to attend that? I'm busy. Or I'll just get bored to death if I attend that. So you have to avoid that kind of attitude. Because involvement in these activities is part of engagement. This is also one way of your boss or whoever assesses your engagement with the company. All right, so get involved. Okay, next is image. So what is image? Image, number one, of course, you have to brand yourself. So branding yourself means you have to come up with a specific, I don't know, your ideal perception of people about you. You know? So you should answer the questions like what sets you apart, what have you done lately to make yourself stand out, how do you want people to perceive you. But of course, it has to be authentic. All right, don't pretend to be someone that you are not. All right, so you look into your strengths. We go back to introspection. You can be vulnerable, that's fine, but you have to be excellent. And don't worry, because excellence is not perfection. They're different. You can be excellent even if you're committing mistakes from time to time. But of course, you have to learn from those, right? And then you act next level. So you have to dress, you have to talk, you have to behave like the next level. Okay, talk to people at this level. You work with them on projects, and you find out more about the role. Okay, so it also shows your sincere interest to know more about what you're trying to get yourself into. Okay, and then remain neutral. What is remaining neutral? Stay away from office politics. Beware of being labeled as a negative employee and be a source of positive energy. I know someone back in my previous company. This guy is really technically competent, one of the best, technically speaking, but he was perceived to be negative. Why? The tone, the manner, and the content of his spoken words were all negative. So that was the perception that he was creating, with other people. So just be a source of positive energy, be a source of hope. I mean, there could be problems, but you can remain positive about it. There's an art, there's a way of actually packaging how you deliver your words, the content of your words, using more positive scripting, etc., etc. Okay. All right. Next is implement. So first, you have to seek out projects. All right. Doing your job well isn't enough. We've already talked about this. Get yourself involved in high impact projects. And if possible, take on a project lead role. Okay, that's what I wanted to highlight because it gives you more visibility. It enables you to exert more influence. And of course, if it's high impact, the results, of course, while you should credit your team as well, you being the leader will definitely be recognized by the company. And then be open for additional responsibilities. You have to be willing to walk the extra mile, take on higher level responsibilities when available. Now, the problem is that with some people, they want additional pay first before they take on additional tasks. So that should not be your attitude. That's just not how it works. No, a good opportunity is actually, for example, if your boss takes on a maternity leave and then you were asked, Raymond, can you be our officer in charge in the next 3 to 4 months? By all means, grab it. But you just need to clarify the expectation so that you will also know what you need to deliver as the OIC. Because when time comes that your boss gets promoted, then you already have that successful experience of having or assuming his role for a temporary period of time, then that puts you in the best position to be the successor for your boss. Okay? All right. And then you volunteer for visibility. Okay, grab visibility opportunities, especially with organization leaders such as event hosting or any informal leaderships in company activities. If I may share my experience, I was I was I was uncomfortable, doing hosting, for events before a large audience. But when I realized that I wanted to get promoted, then I should do those things. So one time when our HR managers were asking who would like to host this particular event, And I knew that the president will be there, the head of HR, etc. So even if I was afraid, I actually took a chance on myself. I said, okay, I'll just think about it and do the necessary preparation, but I'll say yes. So I said yes. I prepared, and then apparently after the event, one of the HR managers approached me and said, Raymond, I didn't know that you have a talent for hosting. So imagine, I actually dread to host, but somebody else perceived me otherwise. So maybe you just need that, for you to be able to realize that you have what it takes. All right. Okay. Next is influence. So what is influence? Number one, you have to add value by speaking up. But word of caution here. Okay. You should expect to lead or handle a project after you make a brilliant recommendation. That's usually the case. If you speak up, you recommend something. All right, Raymond, that was a good idea. That was really a good idea. Can you lead that project? All right, so you can expect that. Okay, so you have to look for opportunities where you can provide sound recommendations, inputs, or insights that can help you improve a process, solve a problem, achieve an objective, whatever that is, it should add value. Okay, and as John Maxwell said, if you want to be a leader, what is influence? So leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So if you're vying for this role, you have to exert influence, not when you become a leader, but as early as now, and find those opportunities. And then I also would like to encourage you to build mentoring relationships. So you can approach more senior leaders other than your boss, because your boss is automatically your coach, but you can be a mentor. I mean, you can somebody else, another leader could be a mentor to you. So you start a mentoring relationship, and or otherwise you can also be a mentor to someone more junior than you. Okay, so these executives, for example, these leaders, they are willing to mentor someone. It's just that a lot of people don't ask. So it's okay if they say that they're busy. I'm sorry, but you can always try different people. All right, and this is also one way of looking for somebody who can help you champion your cause. Right? Okay. And lastly is impact. So what is impact? No? Improve processes and situations. So you create a quantifiable and value adding impact through, again, we go back, projects and initiatives, whether it's on cost reduction, whether it's on customer service management or boosting sales, so whatever objective that is relevant to what you're doing, then you should be able to grab those opportunities. Okay. Companies just love problem solvers, so you have to be one of those. And then you search for opportunities where others are not. So what areas present opportunities to create a significant impact that have not been explored? Because sometimes some people are fixated with the problem being talked about. You have to be creative, you have to be resourceful, innovative in approaching problems and possible solutions. Okay. And lastly, exceed expectations. Deliver results and exceed expectations. So delivering results is actually the minimum, but you have to walk the extra mile, exceed expectations. Wow your stakeholders with the impact that you create for both the people and the business. Now, exceeding expectations is simply, demonstrating excellence. If you are excellent, then you get a good shot in obtaining the trust of management at the same time. All right. So that's the last tip that I have for you. So in summary, introspect, establish your core values, know your worth, be self-aware, define your career goals, be comfortable with your aspiration, and know where you stand. For initiate, express your aspiration, seek support from your leaders, initiate conversations with potential allies. And then intentional, co-create a career development plan with your boss and find out the required competencies of the company. Improve, bridge competency gaps, and regularly seek for feedback. Make it a habit. Involve, actively participate in company-sponsored activities. If possible, take on leadership or committee leadership roles. And then image, think about your branding. How do you want people to perceive you? Act next level and remain neutral. Implement, seek out projects, be open for additional responsibilities, and volunteer for visibility. Influence, add value by speaking up your mind, making sound recommendations, giving brilliant insights. And then build mentoring relationships. Lastly, for impact, improve processes and situations, search for opportunities where others aren't, and exceed expectations. So those are the 9 I's of job promotion. Now, lastly, before we end, I'd like to give you some additional tips. Number one, don't overdo it. Maybe you're fired up right now and you want to do all these things. Don't overdo it. You don't want to be perceived as somebody who wants to be the center of attention always. Okay? So the key is to be genuinely interested in adding value to your organization and its people. And then you need to track your accomplishments and monitor your progress. Keep a journal of your small wins and milestones. The problem with some employees is that the only time that they think about their progress and accomplishments is when the promotion cycle arrives. Okay, it's too late. No, it's too late. They can't remember anymore. When did I demonstrate this? When did I display that? I couldn't remember anymore. So you have to keep a journal. And then give credit where credit is due. Recognize your colleagues, your team members, or even your boss for their contribution. And lastly, avoid the blaming game. Don't play this game. Never. Okay? Take full ownership and responsibility for your actions, and that includes your shortcomings. All right? So, with that, I'll leave you with a quote from Seneca. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. All right. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you so much, Raymond. And I'm putting in because we're almost at time, and I just thought you shared. I was saying to some friends in our group chat for the mentor group who are saying what a great job you're doing. That I just wish that everyone who is at the beginning of their career and even in the middle or toward the end could see this presentation. So thank you so much. I'm going to give a virtual round of applause. Look, we've got the claps in here. We had some great questions come in, and I think what we could do since we're at time is I'm going to put in the chat, I put my LinkedIn, I put Raymond's LinkedIn. We'll share that in the follow-up. We can try and answer them in upcoming posts because we had some really good questions about, what do you do when you have an organization who's maybe feeling like they're blocking your promotion. And, some of my big takeaways too, that I wasn't expecting was everything you're doing to prepare for a promotion could potentially prepare you for a career change and a different role. So really, you're getting lots of great shout outs in the chat here. You set the bar high for the Global Grid and these awesome webinars. We have a webinar coming up with Yemi, who is here in our participating here as an attendee. So Yemi, if you want to say hi, Ian just said that we'll have one coming up with him. We're really excited to hear his insights. Thank you to everybody who joined today. You will be getting a recording of this and a copy of Raymond's slides. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your Friday wherever this finds you. Take care.
Enjoy the weekend, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for attending.